Hello everyone. So now we have covered the aspects of blended learning, which is a form of innovative teaching pedagogy. Then we moved on to understanding the higher order thinking skills. Now the next module that we are moving on to, the skills and competencies that are required for our students today to do well and settle themselves in the competitive race that is there in the world today. So for that, let me start with sharing my slides with you. I'll just bring my screen over here. Just give me a minute. So the topic that I'm going to be covering now is skills and competencies and how we need to develop those skills and competencies in our students for them to be able to function well as far as this present world of work is concerned. So, the first and foremost thing that we need to realize and to accept is that the teaching in our classrooms is no longer connected with the future job options of our students. I think it's really something which needs to be understood very well that at present, what we are teaching in our classes is in not any way related to what are the kind of job opportunities, job options, job scenarios that they are going to be able to face when they are out of college. So we need to accept that there is, as of now, a huge gap in academics and industry. What the students are learning and what is expected of them when they go out from the college is very vastly different. So, as one of the innovative techniques that we can use right now, which I think would be very beneficial to our students, is to have career readiness for our students. How can we do that? The one most important way is that we integrate career readiness into the classroom. A lot of institutes of higher learning, which are considered to be professional colleges, they have already started doing that. I think the other colleges should also, and universities should also follow that paradigm and bring career readiness into the classroom so that the student is able to also understand that what he or she is learning in the classroom is going to be of some use to them later on. And there are we seem to not be able to take care of the students who are not the upper cream of the student community. There are many students, there is only the upper cream which gets fabulous marks and goes into fabulous institutes and comes out very well prepared to get their jobs, and some of them move right into their jobs. There also, it's not possible that all those who come out of those institutes, professional institutes, get a job immediately, but okay, they are better off than those students who are unable to get more marks beyond 60%, 70%, and they find that they have nowhere to go. So just because they are not being able to do academically well does not mean that they don't have competencies, does not mean that they don't have career options. That is something that we need to look into very, very carefully, because otherwise we are going to have this whole huge number of students who have not done all that well in their academics and they have nowhere to go, and they're just wasting and whiling away their time, becoming more and more frustrated over the days. So naturally, it's not sufficient for them to have academic proficiency. That I think from right from the beginning of this presentation, I have been saying. It is therefore necessary to help the students to learn career-related competencies. What are the competencies that they are going to help them when they move out into the world and look for jobs, join careers? What are those competencies that they will be looking at? What are those that will come in use for them? Another very important aspect is that if you see today, there are n number of courses that are available. There are n number of new startups that are coming up, but they are like, they are there for some time and then they fizzle out. But there are some which manage to carry on, and these are new uncharted career streams, which we need to start exploring and see how our students can benefit the maximum with this new breed of professions, new breed of jobs that is coming up. I have given over here 4 pillars of competency development. Of course, there are more, but I thought these 4 were the most relevant ones. That is why I have put them here. The competency learning and development should be a part of the college curriculum. When we are teaching students academics, we should also be teaching them how to do well in the work scenario as well. Competency development and career readiness should form part of the higher education institute's mission statement. The right, from the beginning, the mission should clearly state that career readiness is part of the student development of our institute. It's important to keep a track of current trends and issues in the world scenario to know what exactly are the jobs that are there. We definitely don't want more and more and more students going for engineering when we know very well that the engineering job scenario is totally saturated, and the students who are coming out of engineering institutes are finding it very difficult to get jobs. It's important for us to know which areas we should encourage our students to go in for, and not spend so many years and so much of money into getting a degree which is not going to be of much use to them later on. The fourth one is the competency development of students should be assessed periodically, and students be guided to continually work on their competencies and skills. So when the student is moving out of the college, he or she should be confident that, okay, I can pick up a job if I want to straight away. So now when we are talking about competencies and skills, we need to understand what exactly do we mean by the term competency? What does it mean? So basically, how we can understand competency, it is a statement that describes a person's knowledge, skills, behaviors of that student who is graduating from a particular program. So basically, what are we saying? That at the end of this program, these are the things that the student, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the aspects that the student will have with him when he moves out after completing that course. Then not only just getting the information about it, not just having an academic knowledge about it, but applied skills and knowledge that will enable this person to successfully perform professional, educational, and other aspects in life. It is not just enough to be very good at a professional level, but you are not being able to manage relationships, and you're not being able to manage your colleagues or your subordinates or your boss, then you're not going to last very long in that job. What is the difference between skills and competencies? Competency is a very broad term. It brings in it several aspects. It's like an umbrella term, whereas skill is a very specific term related to a specific task. That, okay, if I'm a car mechanic, my skill is that I'm able to do the electrical repairs of that car. Whereas competency is much broader, that is the skill, the ability, as well as the knowledge. So a person who has just learned how to repair the car electric circuit by learning it from somebody off the roadside, that person will have the skill, no doubt, but will not have the knowledge or understanding of why he is doing what he is doing. He just knows, okay, this is what has to be done. So he has a skill, but he doesn't have the competencies. So skill is just one factor, and the other two factors are knowledge and abilities. Another term that is related to understanding anything as far as a particular skill or a competency is concerned is the outcome. There is no point in doing something unless we know what is going to be the outcome of that particular activity that we are doing. And many times there may be more than one measurable outcome which is from a given competency. For example, if we say the person's competency is that he is a good leader. So if he is a good leader, then there are several outcomes. Good leader means that the person has good communication skills. Good leader means he has good problem solving ability. Good leader means that he has good understanding of issues. He is a good team member. He's able to take the people with him. So there are lots of the measurable outcome of the particular competency of good leadership. So now let's look at these competencies in a more comprehensive manner. What exactly are these competencies that we are referring to? There are 12 core competencies that have been given. There is teamwork, communication skills, adaptability, reliability of the individual. The person is motivated to do certain things, has integrity, good decision making, has initiative, has good work standards, is able to problem solve, has a high level of stress tolerance, and is good with organizing skills. These are 12 core competencies in general if we look at people, if we are looking for any competency. Besides these, there are specific core competencies which are there related to a particular job. Like, for example, I have taken this the teamwork, responsibility, commercial awareness. Commercial awareness is somebody, a person who's in sales, for example, would need to have good commercial awareness. Then being able to make decisions at the right time. Uh, there is a saying that many the wars are lost for a lack of decision rather than because of wrong decision. So decision making is a skill which is very important. Then you have communication, leadership, trustworthiness and ethics, result orientation, problem solving, and organization skills. So these are specific skills for a specific career option that the person may have selected. First things first, I think communication is a very important aspect, and all of us are aware that there are three types of communication. There is written communication, there's verbal communication, and there is non-verbal communication. I don't think I need to explain any of these terms, but although we know of them, but we are not really able to understand the significance of this communication. How we communicate with another person, be it written, be it verbal, the way of communicating with the other person is very, very important, because how we communicate will either ease out a problem or make it more complex. Non-verbal communication has its own role to play. The way the person addresses, the way the person looks, the way the person talks, that makes a lot of difference, especially in the work areas. Nowadays, if you may have seen, languages have become very important. Language may be in terms of a foreign language, it can be in terms of computer language. So language, knowledge of language, whether it is scientific, whether it is mathematical, technological, symbols, texts, you learn German, French, these languages in all its context has become very important today, and it is a good idea to encourage our students to learn something beyond what they are learning in their classroom studies. Critical thinking and problem solving, like I had mentioned in the last module when we were talking about higher order thinking skills, is important regardless of which area you're working in. The 7 steps in critical thinking are gathering the information, analyzing that information that you have gathered, use that information, apply it, and by applying it, you will formulate a question in your mind that, okay, whether this is going to be helpful, not helpful. You think of alternative options that, okay, if this doesn't work out, X doesn't work out, Y doesn't work out, Z may work out. So you have different alternatives. And on those, looking at the uh, pros and cons of each option that you have selected, you finally make a decision. But the task doesn't finish at making a decision. You need to test out that decision. If that decision works, great, then you move on. Otherwise, you may have to go back to step 5 of looking at alternatives. The problem solving loop is very simple to understand. You identify what the problem is, again, explore information and create ideas. Out of those ideas, you select the best idea, build and test the idea, evaluate the results. Very important aspect, evaluate the results. If it has worked for you, great. Proactivity in initiative. This is another very important characteristic which we need to inculcate in our students. These are very important skills of leaders. These, if we want to encourage our students to go into the outside world and take on the leadership roles, then we need to teach them proactivity and not reactivity. Proactive meaning you go ahead, and if there is a problem, you go ahead and try to find solutions. And the other option is that you sit and say, oh my God, now this problem has occurred. Now what do I do about it? And also it's important when to take an initiative and when not to take an initiative. There may be times when it would not be a very good idea to take an initiative if it shows the other person in a poor light. That will again affect your relationship with that person. Digital fluency, I think I can't stress enough that it has become the need of the hour, and the students need to be really fluent as far as the digital world is concerned. And here there is this hierarchy of competence. Unconscious incompetences, that I don't know at all, that I don't know the skill and how important it is for me to know that skill. So naturally I don't do anything about it. The conscious incompetence is that I know that I don't know a particular thing, but I don't make any effort to change the situation. Conscious competence is when I know that there is something that I need to learn, and I go ahead, find ways of learning it, and rectify that situation of not being able to understand what is being done. And unconscious competence is the highest form of learning. That is you have practiced that new knowledge to such a great extent that you don't even need to think before you take a particular task and you do it. So that of course is, if you may have, if you recall, when you may have learned driving, initially when you were driving, you need to many times look down to see whether you're putting your foot on the accelerator or the brake or the clutch. But after you develop proficiency, you don't need to look down again at all. In many times you would even be having a conversation while driving without even thinking which side your foot is going. Now that is unconscious competence. That is the level at which the person's knowledge and proficiency should be. Teamwork is another skill which is, or a competency which is very, very important. Teamwork is something, wherever you go for a job, the people who are hiring the person are looking at whether this person will fit into a team or not. Is this person somebody who will work with the others, or is this person going to create problems and not create hurdles at every point? So teamwork is a very important component. If you remember in the last one also, I had talked about teamwork, in which the teacher would give the task to all the students and they would divide the roles amongst themselves and come up with the final summary, the clunks that they haven't understood, and the clicks and the clunks that they were supposed to be looking at. So teamwork, if we start teaching them or helping them to inculcate right from the institutes from where they are moving out, it would be a great idea, because teamwork is very important for the person to be able to fit well into any scenario. Emotional intelligence, I'm sure all of you have heard of this term. It was greatly hyped some time back. Now the sort of attention to this has become is less than what it was earlier, but believe me, this is the single most important characteristic. Emotional intelligence and high intelligence of a person will help him to get a job, but emotional intelligence is definitely required to keep that job. So in that emotional intelligence, there are the concepts of self-awareness, empathy towards another person, motivation, self-motivation, self-regulation is something that I have been talking about from the last module also. Social skills, all these together form what we refer to as emotional intelligence, and it is definitely a very important component of the individual. Character, ethics, and values, another very important area. The student, when he moves out of the colleges and universities, need to have that sense of what is right, what is wrong, what are the values that the person is carrying with him, and all these aspects put together make the character of the individual. The student should not think that by bribing somebody he is being smart. He needs to understand that by bribing somebody he is doing something unethical. So now what are the different methods of developing these competencies that we are referring to? Let's see. Right from slide 1, I have been saying that competency has to come from education itself. And in education, again, in the last module that we had talked about, help the person to master the skills of competency. And what we had referred to in the first one of blended learning, that help them to learn at their own pace regardless of the environment. The other aspect is that the methods that we are using for the student to learn all these things, they need to be tailored to a particular student. Every student may not need to inculcate the same competencies. Some come with the different competencies that they come in with. Those do not have to be worked upon. The other competencies which are required for the person to fit into the career world is what we need to inculcate. So how can we do all these things? Of course, we start with the learning. Then we work with mentoring, consultation, practice, help. Anything that we do practice on is something that is going to become part of our daily thinking, and therefore a very important component. And then with practice, the outcome that we are looking at is that the person will improve. But if the person doesn't improve, or he has not improved to the extent that he or she wishes to, then the person goes into study again, reflects on why or what has stopped him from developing into what he or she needs to, and again the entire process begins. With this, I come to the end of my presentation. The last thing that I would leave with you is that the 4 aspects that you can help the student to, if that student is able to inculcate that the student will grow and fit into the social and the career world is: 1, learn. Help him to understand that the concept of self-learn and explore any new options, new things that the person is coming across. He or she should make the effort to know more about it. Think about what the things that are happening around him or new information that he is getting. And finally, to communicate. Learn, explore, think, and communicate are 4 aspects. If we can develop in our students, I think we have done our job. Thank you so much. With this, we come to the end of this particular presentation.